Hey, Anthony Tilley here, and welcome to episode 12 of the Solopreneur Show.
Welcome to the Solopreneur Show with your host, Anthony Tilley. To get your hands on more great business training and advice, plus the chance to join our free Facebook group where you will see extended guest interviews, the opportunity of free one-to-one coaching, and behind-the-scenes access to Anthony, go to www.thesolopreneurshow.com and join us today. And here's your host, the man himself, Mr. Anthony Tilley.
Hey, Anthony here, and welcome to Monday's show. Really is great to have you with me. Now, as you know, Monday is Ask Anthony, and Thursday is the expert interviews, and it's Monday, so it's Ask Anthony. Now, what I wanted to do in this particular episode, this actually, there's not sort of a specific question that I'm going to answer. There's actually a few different questions that have come in over the last week or so, particularly since my last interview. And also as well, it all actually ties in really well with conversations that I was having with friends of mine at a party on Saturday. So I really wanted to sort of to bring everything together to help me to give you some examples. So I'll just sort of set the scene for you. As I say, I had a conversation towards the end of last week based around the interview that was in last Thursday's podcast. And if you haven't seen that, solopreneurshow.com/Anthony Tilley, or just go to solopreneurshow.com. You'll see them all listed there. And I gave that interview to Chris Payne, who was my guest the previous week. And I was talking about multi-level marketers, network marketers, that kind of thing, and how I'm helping those people in their business now that I've left the solo ads industry. You know, it seemed silly to just shut the whole thing down and not have something there that still was gonna help people. And this is all sort of really moving the way I wanted to move my business in terms of just being more creative and just doing a lot more making of things, creating stuff, etc. It's just really, that's the way that sort of wanted to move the business forward. And with the solo ads, I just really wasn't getting to do that. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. And you know, if you're getting up at sort of 6:30 in the morning and you're starting work by 8 o'clock and you're not finishing till sort of 6 o'clock, etc., because you've got a whole load of stuff you're doing, I get a massive buzz from that. Whereas actually when I was doing the solo ad stuff, I really just wasn't working anywhere near the hours that I am now, and I love it. It really is great what I'm doing now with the podcasts and with the clients that I've got from the MLM, but also as well then from clients that I've got who I'm helping in terms of their sales funnels, coaches, consultants, etc., in terms of their webinars, their follow-ups, their email marketing, and sort of the selling on the phone, etc., all of that kind of stuff. So the solo ads, I decided I just wanted to park that. It was just something I just didn't want to do anymore. And I'm 45 years of age, and I'm at the point of my life where if I don't want to do something, I don't do it. So what was I going to do to make that change? And this is where then sort of the question came, and they were asking, well, what's the point of the podcast? How are you going to make money from a podcast? Why are you doing it? You've walked away from a very good income from the solo ads. What's the deal with the podcast? And this was from somebody I've known for a little while, somebody fairly well known, makes good money, etc. And they just really were just curious to know what the whole deal was about. And I'll tell you, and then I'll also explain how this then leads on actually to a conversation I was having with friends of mine on Saturday. One was a plumber and one's an electrician. So if you are in the offline industry, if you're in the offline business, you need to obviously make sure you listen to this as well, because this isn't just for online people. The idea of doing the podcast is several different layers. To address, first of all, the personal side of things, okay, the personal gratification. For me, it is being able to create something, to be able to deliver something of value to the marketplace. And the other thing is, as you guys may well know, I do all this myself. Okay, I've done probably about 80% of this I've done myself. I had the site set up, etc., by a good friend of mine, and I had the logo designed on 48-hour logos. But the show, the recording, the editing, the bits and pieces, etc., that's all me because I love doing that stuff. Okay, but I understand that the money isn't just going to come from that. The money comes from what you do outside, from the sales, from the hustling that you do, from the closing, from the conversations that you have from people. Fannying around in the background with nice stuff and making it pretty is not ultimately going to bring money into your business. Okay, it's a nice little luxury to be able to have. I just enjoy doing it. If you are in the position where you're just starting off and you can't afford to have outsourcers, then clearly you're going to have to do it yourself. If you, though, are in the position where outsourcers can be used, then you don't enjoy this kind of stuff, then I highly recommend it. But if it's something that's a passion, if it's something that you enjoy, then do it. Do it. Life's too short. Do business that you enjoy. So that was the creative side of things. Okay. Here's the business side of things, and this is what is more important for you guys that are listening to this, from thinking about this from a business point of view. Okay, business point of view. I'm getting to meet people who I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. There's a show coming up this Thursday with a gentleman by the name of Craig Ballantyne. If you do not know Craig, Google him and get ready for one hell of an interview. And when we came off of the interview, Craig told me how many interviews he'd done last year, and he's done over 100 interviews, and he said that was in the top 2 or 3% of the interviews that I've done. And the way that it was conducted, the research that I'd done, the fact that so much of what he said resonated with me, and I know will resonate with the audience as well, it's just made for a really great interview, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that. But I wouldn't have connected with Craig otherwise if it wasn't for the show. Well, it's highly unlikely that I would have done. And there's quite a few people coming up over the next couple of weeks and months, and somebody really, really big going to be coming up on the show very, very soon. And again, if it wasn't for the show, I wouldn't have had an in with these people. Okay, so that's part of it for you. If doing something like this, if you're starting out, you really don't know what it is that you want to do, you've heard about expert interviews, etc., do a podcast. Do a podcast. It means that you get out there, you get talking to people within the industry, whatever. It doesn't matter what the industry you're in. It doesn't have to be online business. Like, this could be anything whatsoever. Pick your niche and do a podcast about it. If you go and research podcasts, I was blown away actually by the amount of different types that there are and the number of listeners that they're getting. So, you position yourself within that niche, within that industry, as somebody of authority. Because even though you're the one asking the questions, you make sure you do your research correctly, properly, and you know what you're talking about when you're interviewing the expert, then you are aligning yourselves with them. So the chances are, if you're going to do a podcast on, well, let's talk about plumbing. Okay, I was say we're going to talk about plumbing. If you're doing a podcast about plumbing, then clearly you're going to know something about the subject. Okay, you're going to want to sort of know sort of something about it, because if it's something you're passionate about. Photography, if you are interested in photography, but you want to get to know better people, you want to get to know more people within the industry, but you also then want to be seen as an authority as well, podcast is an excellent way to do it. And I just do the videos on top of it just because I love doing video and messing around. I've got all the bits and pieces here in the office, etc. It just means that it can go out to a wider audience. So that was the first reason for doing it, was the connectivity with people within the industry. All right. So that was the one. Second, as I've already said, is the authority piece as well. By doing a podcast, you become more of an authority. It shows that you can put this kind of stuff together, but it gives you a platform by which you can share your knowledge. So that's the reason for it. Because what will happen is people will see your podcast, they'll listen to the podcast, they'll see the videos or whatever it is you do, they will listen to it. And some point, somewhere along the line, it will bring people in, or it brings people in. Somewhere along the line, someone will hear something and go, whoa, hang on a minute. So Anthony's saying that he's doing this, this, and this. And he clearly knows about that subject. I need somebody to do that for me, or I need some help with that. Let's get in contact with him. And it'll be the same for yourself. Again, if you're doing about photography or you're doing something about Photoshop and you talk about some sort of piece and little vignette that you've done and ba-bum, 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 and whoa, hang on a minute, I need somebody to do that for me. This guy clearly knows what he's talking about. He's got a podcast. They get in contact with you and an income comes from it. So you're not going to make huge amounts of money from a podcast as such. Yes, you can get sponsors, etc. You can do that kind of thing. But the idea behind having the podcast is the authority piece. It's the creating of content. In the same way that musicians put songs out to show that they can sing, to show that they can play instruments, doing the exact same thing with the content that you put out. So that was the reason for doing it. That was the reason for the podcast, and I highly recommend whatever industry you're in. If you're a marketer, particularly if you make money online, niche, etc. And you're creating products, you're perhaps doing product launches, and you're selling, etc. There's an industry that is going to implode very, very soon, without a shadow of a doubt, because so many people, so many buyers are getting shared around. This was a big criticism that was laid on solo ads, and I can see the exact same thing happening with product launches, where so many people are scratching each other's backs, and basically the customer is just getting passed around and around and around, and at the end of the day, they don't know which way is up because they've got so many different products, and eventually, it's just going to there's going to be so many people doing it as well, because it's not a difficult business model. In the same way with solo ads, product launching is not a difficult business model. Creating products is not difficult. So you want to be looking to differentiate yourself. And I've seen now a few guys that are doing this, a few guys that are creating groups, that are creating content, that are perhaps doing interviews or doing things over and above just doing a product launch. And all credit to those guys, because they've got the vision to realize they need to do something. They need to take their business to the next level. And whether that be doing events, or whether it be creating content via podcasts, or whether they've got some sort of show, whether they've got a Facebook group where they do live streams, whatever it happens to be. And again, it doesn't matter what niche you're in. It doesn't matter what your business is. If you can be seen as an authority, you're going to get more income from it. So this leads me on then to a party I was at the weekend, and I was there with two friends. Say one's an electrician, one's a plumber. And you may not think that creating content or showing that you know what you're doing as doing that kind of job is relevant, but it is. It really is, because again, there is so much competition out there. So I was talking to sort of friends of mine, and they were both sort of saying, business is okay, it's not great. So, okay, look, how do you get your business? What do you do? And they said, well, to be honest, sort of one of them was saying, he put stuff on Facebook, as in on his own personal private wall. Anybody need the house rewired, that kind of thing. He said, but it doesn't bring in a lot. I'm thinking, well, that's like the equivalent of marketers, network marketers going out and trying to tap up their friends and family to come and join their get rich quick scheme. Just by putting that kind of stuff out there, you're not really gonna get a huge amount of response. And then the other one as well, he said, well, I sort of still advertise in the Yellow Pages. So I didn't even know Yellow Pages still existed, let's be honest. When was the last time? So if you're not in the UK, I'm not sure in the US, I know there's a White Pages, I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but basically it's a business directory that's posted through the door. But these guys have not embraced the internet or online stuff in any way, shape or form. Now, I'm 45 years of age. Yeah, okay, I make my living doing stuff on the internet, etc. But again, talking to people who don't, just talking to sort of friends, dads at rugby, that kind of thing. And I ask them, if you're going searching for stuff, what do you do? How do you use Yellow Pages these days? No, I go on Google. I just Google something and I just search it. And that's what most people do these days. So if you're not online, if you're not marketing your business, if you don't have a web page, you don't have a Facebook page, etc., in some way, shape or form that people can see you, clearly you're missing out. But I also said to them, and this was just like to push their buttons, because I knew they wouldn't do it. If these guys, don't even have that other kind of stuff going on, there's no way they'd do it. And I said, so how do people know, that you know what you're talking about? They said, well, I just put photographs up on my Facebook, and this is on their own personal Facebook. They just sort of put bits and pieces up. And I know a lot of plumbers, builders, guys who clean cars, etc. They do that. They'll show a before and after, and that's really good. That's really, it's a good thing to do. But so many other people do it. So many do it. So why not be different? Why not be different? Because if you can be different, actually, in a lot of people's eyes, being different means that you're better. Okay, if you're not doing the same thing as everybody else, if you're being different, usually means that you're being, that you're better. So I said to him, why don't you get, a little webcam? So I said to the plumber, I said, okay, so why don't you do a video showing how to change a washer on a tap? And I knew what his answer to me was going to be. And his answer was, as I thought it would be, well, why the hell should I do that? Because I'm doing myself out of business. Right, okay. When was the last time you went and just changed a washer on a tap for a client? And he couldn't answer. He said, well, I wouldn't go out for something that small. So why not make a video that helps people? If the job is too small for you, I mean, the number of times I've had tradesmen come here to the house. I'm looking out now that my view at the minute is straight out to my back garden, and through the other side of the wall there is the kids' games room. Up above that there is a patio, and we had a sort of a leak around there last year, and I actually got a roofing contractor come and have a look. This guy wanted to rip everything up, to change it, to move this, to change that, all of this kind of stuff. And I knew that wasn't the issue. I knew what the issue was. I just wanted somebody else to fix it. He said, I'll come back, I'll give you a quote. And he said, this was on a Tuesday, so we have our meetings on a Wednesday, and I'll have a quote for you on a Thursday. Well, that was October. I've never heard from the guy. And I knew I wouldn't. So if you're not going to do a job for somebody, if it is too small for you to do, why not help somebody to do it themselves? Why not create content, short videos on that kind of thing? Same with the guy with the electrician. I said to him, why don't you just do a video that shows somebody how to change a fuse? And he'd already heard what I said to the plumber, so he didn't use that argument. But if I'd asked him first, he would have said the exact same thing, and he admitted he would have said the exact same thing. So if you do things like that, my sister-in-law has got a wedding bouquet business. Now she doesn't want, she just doesn't want to appear in front of camera, and if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. But what she does do is she runs at various times of the year that's sort of appropriate. So Christmas, for argument's sake, it's a Christmas wreath. And she gets local mums to come along and they all make wreaths. So they pay a certain amount and she shows them how to do it. She does this class. Now she is setting herself up as an authority. She has the business. She creates wedding flowers, bouquets, that kind of thing for people's weddings, goes, puts them there on a Saturday morning, all the bits and pieces, does all the stuff as well at the wedding reception. And I've got to say, really, really good, beautiful stuff. But what she also does then is, she just does this as an extra income. She doesn't think of it this way. But until I explained to her about it, she's actually doing something different. She's putting herself at a higher level than a lot of other wedding flower arrangers, because what she's doing is she's actually getting people in. She's showing them how to do something, how to create it. She's getting paid for it, which is great. And then she makes sure all the way along that her husband is taking photographs. Okay, part of the condition of coming to this wreath class is that photographs are taken, and they're then put on her Facebook page. They're then put on her website, and also as well, then they're just sort of mailed out to her email list as well. So by doing that, she's taking herself to the next level, and the amount of business that she has actually got from that, from people then, from brides coming saying, I saw your wedding photographs, my mum has liked your page, or my sister's liked your page. She does little adverts then, so she'll boost a post, and she just boosts it to friends, and to people who've liked her page and to their friends, because she's just a local business, so she doesn't, this isn't a worldwide thing. And she just boosts it and it just goes out. So people who've liked the page and their friends see it. And she has had so many appointments with brides where they have said, I saw what you did on Facebook. I saw your wreath. I saw your little Easter sort of bonnet bouquet things that she's done, etc. It's putting yourself out there in a different way. So creating content doesn't always have to be about information marketing. It doesn't always have to be about doing like I'm doing here. There's so many different ways to do it. And pretty much no matter what your business is, you could do this. You could create content. You can put it out there. It will show that you're different. And by showing that you are different, in the majority of people's minds, it will make you better. All right. So, really hope you've enjoyed today's show. Take action on what I've said here. Start creating content within your business. Doesn't matter what you do, think about how you could create content. And if you're watching this and you're not inside of the group, go to the solopreneurshow.com and you can join the Facebook group. And any questions you've got, you can ask me and I'll help you in any way, shape or form I can to come up with ideas for that. All right. So solopreneurshow.com, as I said, that's where you get all the great information. Get yourself inside of the Facebook group. Now, Monday, Ask Anthony. As I say, there's something a little bit different. This Thursday, get ready for an awesome interview, Mr. Craig Ballantyne of earlytorise.com. So if you want to go and check Craig out beforehand, earlytorise.com, and that's TO, not the number 2. This guy is absolutely awesome. All right, I was blown away with what he shared, and also as well, the conversations that we've had since, and how much he's helped me within my business. And just going back to what I've said, with the podcasting and to interviewing experts, etc., it really is a great way to make contacts. So, hey, if you're somebody you want to do an interview, and you're scared of being the first one, the first interview you've ever done, contact me. I'm happy to be interviewed. And, as you can tell from this, I've sat here now, I'm looking at the recording time, it's saying 22 minutes, so I can sit and talk. So you just ask the questions, you wind me up, you let me go, and I'm happy to answer them for you. All right, so solopreneurshow.com, get yourself inside of the group as well, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers, bye now.
To get your hands on more great business training and advice, plus the chance to join our free Facebook group where you will see extended guest interviews, the opportunity of free one-to-one coaching, and behind-the-scenes access to Anthony, go to www.thesolopreneurshow.com and join us today.